Assassin's Creed Valhalla was my disappointment of the year. Let's talk about that. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is the latest game in the Assassin's Creed series and took us to the 890s during the Viking invasion of England. You play as Eivor, a Norseman who, alongside his foster brother Sigmund, decides to leave Norway and travel to England to create a new home. You travel across both Norway and England, completing quests, discovering treasure, and killing all who stand in your way. Sounds like a pretty awesome game, right? But what about being an assassin? Now, here is one of the big issues I found with the game. As fun as it is, it just doesn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game. The story doesn't really have a fluid connection and seems like the assassin part is forced in. Some of the mechanics like double assassination have been removed, making stealth harder, and whilst you have some abilities that can help with assassination, they predominantly focus on being in combat and killing face to face. Now, don't get me wrong, it is good fun to run in there and smash the enemy's face in, but that's not really what I'm looking for from an Assassin's Creed game. Over the past few games, the Assassin's Creed series has moved away from being about the assassin and more to being an action RPG with the Assassin's Creed label on the front. As a fan of the series, this kinda sucks. So, let's actually talk about the gameplay itself. For this, I'm going to compare it to its predecessor, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which had very high reviews and had many fans excited to see where the series would go next, including myself. Now, I will be honest, it was a huge step down for me. The combat was nowhere near as fluid, the abilities that were available were less interesting and pretty lackluster overall, and some of the exploration factors which made it enjoyable just weren't there. The combat felt pretty sluggish as you were slow moving and would only be able to get a few attacks in before you had to retreat. I felt like with the number of enemies you had to face, it would have been better to have a faster paced combat and more fluid like with Syndicate, Origins and Odyssey. This could have been balanced out with some awesome abilities, but as stated before, I found them kind of boring to use and not useful at all. Sure, there were some which were kind of cool, but I found that they either lacked damage or just missed the enemy, which kind of felt bad. With the exploration, I felt like between Odyssey and Valhalla, they made a really weird decision to do a reverse quality of life change. What I mean by this is that if the games had been reversed, the features that were removed would have been seen as a quality of life change for the game and made it better. What I talk about here is the mysteries and the Raven Sight. In Odyssey, there was a good mix of serious and comical side quests, which gave a nice distraction to the main story, whilst still giving the player something to do. In Valhalla, I found that they focused way too hard on the comical side. Each mystery that I came across, there was a side quest which was comical, and unfortunately just not my sense of humour. To some players, this may have been a good change, but I just found it annoying and it put me off even bothering with mysteries for the majority of the game. In regards to the change to the Raven Sight, they removed the ability for it to detect enemies and secrets like stairways. Not being able to detect the enemies was kind of made up for by Odin's Sight, however you did need to be close to the enemy for them to be detected. The bigger issue for me was that you could no longer detect secrets. What this meant is that if there was a piece of treasure nearby but underground, you would sometimes have to spend about 10 or 15 minutes searching around to find a cave, hidden stairway or similar. This just broke the flow of gameplay and just made it annoying to explore for treasure, and as I was streaming, I couldn't be bothered to waste the time. Whilst it may seem like a minor thing and I may be overreacting, I just don't understand why you would remove something like this from the game. When it was originally added to the Assassin's Creed games, it was seen as a big quality of life change and made exploration easier and more enjoyable as you knew where you were going. I just don't see any benefit in removing it, and it just seems like a poor change to me. Raids and sieges were an addition to the game which were actually a lot of fun. Alongside your longboat crew and sometimes other allies, you would attack a secure location, kill everyone in your path, and of course, take all of their loot. I did find that sometimes the allies wouldn't fight, but overall I really enjoyed the addition of the raids and sieges. For your crew, you could even create your own warrior to be part of your crew and recruit warriors that other players have created, as well as being able to recruit certain story characters by playing through the game. One thing that I will glaze over in this review, but I go into more in my in-depth review that will be linked down in the description, is the bugs. I did play this game on release, and there have been a few updates since, but there were a lot of bugs in this game on launch. While these bugs didn't make the game unplayable, they were pretty obvious bugs, and from a company with the resources like Ubisoft should not have been in the release version of the game. This is honestly an issue across a number of the top gaming companies. Whilst I never expect a game to be bug-free, too many games are released nowadays with easily replicated bugs that should be fixed before launch. Now, I have been pretty negative in this review, and as I said at the beginning, this game was my most disappointing game that I played this year. It had so much potential, and after how amazing Odyssey was, I really had high hopes for this, but it just felt like a very standard game, and whilst it was fun, and as I stated multiple times during my playthrough, I did enjoy it. I expect so much more from a company with the resources like Ubisoft. Have you played Assassin's Creed Valhalla? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and be sure to let me know if your opinion differs from mine. Remember that these are my thoughts and opinions, so yours may differ. If you are interested, be sure to check out my in-depth review linked down in the description below. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you haven't done already, be sure to check out my social media links down in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys next time.